Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. We are the Mile High Property Brothers. Today is super fun and it's relevant based off of the season we're having so far with winter, but we're gonna be talking about winter living, Denver, Colorado, 2023. Yes, there's a Christmas tree in my house because my son still wants to have it up year round and it drives his mom crazy, which means I love it. But either way, it is January 19th.
That's right.
Beginning of winter for Denver.
That's right.
But we've already got some things to tell you guys.
All right, super informative, guys. Stay tuned. What's up, guys? I'm Eli Schmidt. This is my partner, Will Grimes. And if it's your first time checking out our channel, welcome. Hit that subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell because we're dropping a new one every Tuesday and every Thursday, and you don't want to miss a single one.
100%. And we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, which means just as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs. So that number that's popping up below, we are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if we can help you, we would love to. But with that being said, Denver, winter living.
Yes.
What's it like?
Yes.
Let's cover it. And it's been winter already so far, so we've got a lot to cover.
To give you guys a summary of winters in Colorado, and here we're talking averages, okay? You're gonna be pleasantly surprised when you come here because a lot of people think it's like, I don't know, living in Minnesota or Antarctica or somewhere where it's just snow and cold all the time, and that definitely is not the case.
No, not at all. And again, just as a reminder, we always remind you guys, we have more sunny days than any state in the country, including Florida, which means, as you can probably guess already, yes, we get a lot of snow here. It's a full winter, but we get a lot of sunny days, which means that snow tends to melt off extremely quick, which allows commutes, driving to work and all of that good stuff, still pretty manageable.
Yes, now to give you guys an idea of some real numbers, surprisingly, our average temperature during the cold months in Colorado, which can be considered October, technically per data, it says like October 13th, that's the official start of the cold months, all the way through really about the end of March. Those are our coldest months. Average temperature is about 45 degrees.
So not bad. So you do get some zeros, you do get some -11s, you do get some 3s, but for the most part, you get a lot of like 55s, 62, 59, 54. You get a lot of those that brings that average back up, which is awesome. Now, I will say this year, we've had almost like an early winter, right? So we've had probably 7 snowstorms just since winter started. We just had one yesterday that snowed about a foot here in Southeast Aurora. I think it was about 8 inches in Denver Metro, and it got further worse as it went out east. But sun is already out today. And speaking to just like our infrastructure here in Colorado, I am uber impressed. We've always had great city like roadway care as far as like plows going out, salting roads, plowing roads to make sure all the main roads are good. Very rarely is there a day where you just can't drive unless it's going to the mountains. We'll get to that in a minute. However, this has been by far one of our heaviest winters this early on, and our infrastructure as far as cities and counties taking care of it, it's been phenomenal, which just speaks again to how great it is here. And in addition to that, yes, the warm weather does help melt a lot of it off.
Yeah, and now, you know, this year, again, specifically, it's been kind of interesting because it's been especially cold. So even when the sun has come out, a lot of the snow hasn't melted. So when we've had these back-to-back snowstorms, you will tend to get more of accumulation. And then on some of the side streets in neighborhoods, even though they're plowing them and stuff, when you have some back-to-back snowstorms, you can get some accumulation where it's just snow on top of snow. So some side streets a little more tricky, but for the most part, guys, this is going to be gone by next week, and it's not the end of the world.
Which, if we can find the video where he said this,
people here that have Honda Civics, Toyota Camrys,
Subarus,
your normal front,
Subarus,
well, Subarus at least all-wheel drive, but if you're driving the other ones, they're just front-wheel drive. There's plenty of people here with those.
But it's furthering my point from like 2 years ago. No, you don't need a Honda Civic 2-wheel drive in Colorado. Having a 4-wheel or all-wheel drive is definitely most important. It's definitely a need, especially because it's not just about getting by here in the winter. You're gonna wanna go to the mountains and have a good time or whatever it may be and enjoy Colorado for its winter season just as much as its spring and summer. This dude right here said you get away with a Honda Civic 2-wheel drive in Colorado. Like, no, not with the winters we're having.
You're not driving in the snow. Correct. If you work from home and get all your stuff delivered, you're not driving in the snow.
Don't you like when people like leave stuff out like, oh yeah, no, it's a great phone. Yeah, no, grab it. And then like, Oh, you need a battery with the phone?
See? Yeah.
Oh, and a SIM card? Like, no, you can drive with a Honda Civic. Oh, in the snow?
Snowy days, yeah.
Oh, no, not
different.
Freaking snow.
Yeah,
no.
Different.
You cannot. Now, when it comes to back-to-back snowstorms like we've had, it's especially hard because even if you're just trying to get around Denver Metro, depending on the neighborhood you live in, you've got to get out of your residential streets before you get to those main roads that are so amazing, maintained by cities and counties.
Yes. Now, let's talk about some general home maintenance, okay? And like dealing with the snow around your home. So 2 real quick general rules of thumb you're going to live by is make sure that you're winterizing your sprinklers out here, because if you're not, they will freeze, they will crack, and then come springtime, you're having to do a lot of repair on them.
So not only are you getting those blown out, but also like they got these great covers that go over your sprinkler systems and the pipes that are exposed on the outside of the house that kind of like insulate it and just maintain it. That way the exterior of your sprinkler system on the side of your house does not break. It's super inexpensive to replace, but hey, why do it if you don't have to?
Yes. Now another one, disconnect any hoses you have attached to your home. Those will freeze and it will ruin the little spigot out there. Another repair you're gonna have to make come springtime.
100%.
And then lastly,
Lastly, I always have that last word.
Lastly, not the final word, but lastly to the home maintenance point, let's talk shoveling and snow blowing or plowing your driveways.
Yes, and getting to that, okay, if your home faces north or if you decide to purchase a home that faces north, I want to pray for you. Let's have a moment of silence for every house that faces north. Because it faces north, that's where the majority of your shade is going to be, right? So it's not that it won't melt, but it probably takes about a week longer easily as far as like the ice and snow to melt off of your driveway or your porches, because facing north and the way that the sun rises and sunsets, it gets nothing but shade, which means it needs really warm weather because it's not getting the direct sunlight in order to melt. So is it a deal breaker for you? Not necessarily. We lived in homes that face north. It's just more maintenance. So depending on the home that you're looking at and every box that it checks for you, if that's the only one it doesn't check for you, but you have no problem snow blowing or shoveling, because if you stay on top of it and it never accumulates over your driveways and your porches, then it's never really a problem. So as long as you're cool to stay proactive about it, then don't overthink facing north, but yes, it is something to think about.
Definitely, and we'll show you guys a clip, as you can see right here, where all the homes that are on the north facing side of the street, they're all shady, the driveways are covered in snow and ice, and the homes directly across the street from it are south facing and they get direct sunlight almost all day long.
Correct.
So you might not even have to shovel your driveway. The sun might just do the work for you by the late afternoon.
Correct. And if your home faces east or faces west, well, you can do the science behind that. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west, so you're getting at least a full day or half day of direct sunlight, et cetera, et cetera. That shouldn't, so you don't have any problem as far as if your home faces east or west.
Now, do you need a snowblower? Probably not need, but they sure are nice to have. And depending on the size of your driveway, it actually might be a need.
If you don't have like an Uncle Eddie next door that wants to come plow your driveway, whatever it may be.
It's a huge compliment, come on. All the light strands are connected. A terrible idea.
Sometimes the snow, it does get heavy, especially like in the later season of winter. So when we start getting up into early spring, we usually get 3 to 4 snowstorms just before the spring hits. But because we've also already had some rain by that point, the snow is really moist, which means it's really wet, it's really heavy, right? So this is where trees can break. So in addition to the snowblower or shovels, in addition to that, you wanna be out dusting your trees off, especially in the late winter, because of all that weight, it could definitely crack and break your branches and ruin a great tree for you. So shake your trees out, especially in the late season. In regards to like your snowblower, if you need one, if you are gonna need one like this year, definitely could have used one. I've got one. I had my favorite shovel, so it broke. And then I go to Home Depot, hey, you guys got any shovels? And he's like, dude, we've been out for like a month. Where have you been? So I didn't want to look like a moron. So I ended up doing my first snowblower. No more lower back grunt work out there, just doing it. But all jokes aside, it has been a lifesaver because, hey, we've got to get to work. We're having a baby very soon. So as far as my wife getting outside and getting over to where she needs to get, even better, right? So we like it because of how much it snowed this year, but it's definitely not mandatory, but it's a super nice thing to have when the snow gets really heavy. That's the snow that's really hard to shovel. The light snow in the early winter that you can just kind of go out there and scoop off, no problem. The heavy snow, different story.
Yes, now one other very important part to the shoveling and snow blowing conversation, and a lot of people don't know this, but you are responsible, the homeowner is responsible for doing the sidewalks in front of your home. That is not the city thing. And actually, if you're in Denver, they will come around and fine you if you have not shoveled your driveway 24 hours after a snowstorm.
And Denver's great at giving little parking tickets. If you're a minute late over a meter, ask this guy. I don't know why I didn't get one. I've got one before. He got one and he was literally 30 seconds past his meter limit. So if they're good enough, if they're fast at that, imagine what they're doing to your sidewalks if you're not snowing it. Now, depending on the neighborhoods that you live in, if you're out in suburbias, Castle Rock, Southeast Auroras, Highlands Ranches, there are some HOAs that do come by and do a lot of the main sidewalks. However, for some reason, it snows so much and you have realized that they haven't gotten to it, it's still your responsibility as a homeowner whether they do that as a favor with the HOA or not. So just be cognizant of that.
Yes. All right, now I know this applies to a lot of states in the country, but if you guys are coming here, as we set our clocks back, we still are on daylight savings time. And what you're gonna notice from about November, I believe is when we start setting our clocks back, it gets super dark really early. So at the earliest, it's getting dark at like 4:30.
I think it starts getting dark at like 4:30. I think our earliest sunset technically is 5 p.m.
Yep.
We just had that the other day.
Early.
And then every day after that, it starts staying light a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Then finally when you get to like the middle of summer or early summer in June, it's almost 9 o'clock. It's like 8:55 before the sunset. So we do, not sure about other states, but we do have a pretty drastic change because we are in daylight savings time. I don't know if it's also altitude. I'm sure there's some science behind it. By the way, there's almost a 4-hour change between darkness in the winter, darkness in the summer.
Darkness is.
Now, one other important part, and this is why we're having the sundown conversation, is that if we are having some winter weather or if there is some ice on the ground and it gets dark that early, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna freeze over, and that is during rush hour or your early morning commute.
Correct, and we call that black ice out here. Not sure if you guys call that the same across the country. I'm sure that you do, but because we've got such temperature changes, right? You could be driving around in the middle of the day and the sun is out and the roads are just wet. So hey, no problem. But it then drops 25 to 35 degrees as it starts getting dark, and all of that wetness that was on the roads now turns into iceness on the roads, and people are a little complacent because they've been driving around all day, no problem. They're still going the speed limit or above, and you can get up to speed limit, but it's your ability to stop and slow down on ice that really becomes a hindrance. So because of our temperature change and how quickly something can go from just being wet to being frozen, you really have to be careful. The majority of our accidents are later in the evenings when everyone's coming home, or early mornings, and it's not just because it's rush hour and everyone's going home. A lot of it's just a complacency to understanding how ice works here in the winter. So just be careful with that. And it just leads me to my next point that I've already mentioned about this guy. All-wheel or four-wheel drive enhances your ability to stop in inclement weather.
And good tires. Have good tires on there. You can have four-wheel drive with bad tires and you're just as bad as a Honda Civic guy.
Don't be that guy.
Don't be that guy at all. Now, as we are coming out of our winter months, we are coming into March. Spring is right around the corner. Don't get too excited though, because March is our snowiest month at an average of 11.5 inches of snow during the month of March.
And that's the heavy, wet, perfect for a snowball snow.
That's right.
The snowball fights that can happen in March are epic. There should be movies about them. However, it's also something that I was speaking to earlier. You gotta be really aware of your trees, your pine trees, any other type of tree that like has branches that kind of spread out and have a lot of leaf to them, especially during the winter, like pine trees. They're gonna carry a lot of weight, which means it can break those branches and bring that entire tree, you can kill that tree and then have to replant it, right? So then yes, if it's part of your HOA and you have these trees, well then you're replacing your own tree because HOA is mandating that you have certain levels of trees. So please just, hey, be aware of that. In addition to, that's also when a snowblower could be a huge help for you because the heaviest snow like that is so hard to shovel.
Now, another little home maintenance point during the winter months that is absolutely critical and can save you a ton of time, money, and headaches. That is, if you're going on vacation, if you're leaving your house more than a couple days at a time, it's very smart to turn off the water to the whole house. That way, if something stops working like your heater or something, your house doesn't freeze, your pipes don't freeze, and then when it thaws out, it breaks and floods.
100%, that's happened to people before, so be very careful, right? It's not very hard to turn those off. And yes, every once in a while, because just, I guess how the jet stream works over America, it goes right over Colorado. So we get like early spring, we get a lot of wind as it starts warming back up before we actually get to like no wind and nice spring. It's like 2 weeks of just strong wind, but you also get some of that in the winter. We get that jet stream that comes through as well. We've had some days where it was negative 17 degrees. If your house is operable, nothing's breaking, hey, no problem. Those temperatures aren't terrible as far as like something breaking. Some of you come from like real winter states, Michigan,
Minnesota,
New York, upstate New York, whatever it may be. But here, the reason why there's a little bit of risk is because of how much our temperatures change. And a lot of where things crack or break is because of a temperature change that's very quick versus the overall just low low temperature. It's that drastic change back up that could have something break. So if you are gonna be gone on vacation, definitely take care of that.
Now, our final point here is that not all winters are created equal in Colorado, meaning location matters. As soon as you start getting closer to the foothills or in the foothills, like if you're in Evergreen or Idaho Springs,
Golden,
Boulder, yeah, any of those, you're going to have a significant increase in the amount of snowfall, as well as a significant increase in the amount of time that the snow sticks around.
100%. And this is also what I was talking about earlier when we talk about commute. Overall commute in Denver is great during the winter. Cities and counties do a great job maintaining the roads. However, as you get more toward the altitude, more toward the front range, sometimes they shut these roads down, right? So I-70 West going into Aspen and Breckenridge and A-Basin, a lot of times they will close at the Eisenhower Tunnel just because of the weather. And because again, as things freeze when the sun goes down, all of those wet roads at Eisenhower Tunnel, well, you go down a lot. Once you get up to the Eisenhower Tunnel, you start going down into like the valley where you guys arrive at like a lot of these ski resorts, and if it freezes over, there is no stopping when it comes to like that level of descent. So it's stuff like that. Every once in a while you get I-25 southbound toward the Springs and toward Castle Rock. That'll close depending on how bad the weather is. But even all the snow we've had so far this winter, we haven't had that shut down. That's super rare, and it's maybe once every other year where we have a snowstorm where they have to shut that for about a day. Outside of that, guys, it's pretty good to go. The other thing that's good to go is me never forgetting that number that's popping up below, and reminding you guys that we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado. And just as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs.
That's right.
So remember, that's still up below. We are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if we can help you, we would love to. But with that being said, don't drive a Honda Civic two-wheel drive.
Don't drive a Civic.
Enjoy the winter. Have great tires. Have a great week.
That's right.
We'll see you guys very soon.
See you guys.
Right. Winter, Eli's Denver, Will's Winter.